If anybody wants to get married...
I'll marry you. I'm kidding.
She's gonna get ordained. Also, if you want to marry Jolene, applications are open for that as well.
Oh my god, no!
She won't pay you minimum wage or full-time. It's really not a paid position. It's more like volunteer
on what
work.
You find rewarding.
Oh. Bienvenue, Wheaties! Welcome to another episode of Wheat Queens. My name is Haley.
And I'm Jolene, and we're your co-hosts. Welcome to the week of March 15th to 21st. Thank you guys so much for the support you've given us so far, and thank you for coming back and giving us another listen. We'd like to apologize for not releasing an episode last week, but we hope we make up for it with a special surprise that's coming to you guys in a couple weeks.
Today, we are talking about working.
That's right.
Do you enjoy working, Jolene?
I hate it.
Me too.
Honestly. Yeah, so I do have a part-time job. I work as a cashier and customer service rep. And it's, there's no real words for it. Yeah,
it's what it is.
It is. I've been working there for 4 years. It's my first and only job. Yeah.
I mention this a lot. I work at the university. As a barista, I work at the Forbidden Flavors down in the mingling area. That's where you'll find me. It's not my first job. I used to work at Starbucks. That was my last lengthy job before this one.
You've had a couple jobs.
I've had a couple, but we don't like to talk about all of them. Yeah, I think 4. 5. Oh, including, I do like a full-time thing in the summer where I'm usually employed by the Manitoba Métis Federation. Which I'm thinking I might want to do that again this year. I have to make calls and I keep procrastinating, so.
Summer employment, guys, it's coming up. Make sure you submit those resumes.
Yeah, but I think my plan is to slowly infiltrate every single coffee shop in Brandon. So.
It's probably, what do you have left? I mean, you did Forbidden, you did Starbucks. You got Timmy's.
Coffee culture. Does Timmy's count, though, because it's like McDonald's in the way that it's like a chain?
Are you telling me Starbucks was not a chain?
But when you think of Starbucks, you think exclusively of coffee. I guess when you think of Timmy's, you do think exclusively coffee, too.
Yeah. It's not like McDonald's. You've done McDonald's.
I have, though. We could check it off the list.
But I wouldn't count that as a coffee shop, but I would count Timmy's. And I guess, you got Timmy's, Coffee Culture, and then all the sort of independently owned.
Oh, no. Shea Angela.
Yeah. I feel like
Robbins.
Probably more than that, yeah. I don't think I've been to any of them.
But, yeah. I think I was still working at Starbucks last year for my first year of university, but I just recently started to work at Forbidden this year for my second year. Which I will say, working on campus is really nice when I'm already there.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, I feel like I wouldn't really enjoy working on campus because sometimes, I like that separation of work from school, from home. I mean, if you're a resident student working on campus, man, you've really got it all just, right there. And that can be good, too, because it is right there. But it's also, I do like that personal separation between all those different areas.
Sometimes it does get, gross, because I feel like I've been in the building, all day. Mm-hmm. And then I, come out to walk to my car, and it's, dark outside.
Why should you work during university or not work during university?
Well, you see, I work because I need money. I have a car, I have other bills to pay that I need to be consistently making money for.
Extra money is a pro, for sure.
Yeah.
There's a couple pros. I would say there's probably more pros than cons, but...
Probably, yeah.
Money is, I think, the biggest one. And I mean, so, not only do you have extra money, but you also have less debt because you put that money to stuff.
Well, depends what you put your money to, but,
Okay. You should be putting your money aside, so that way you can pay things off, but...
Also, just very generally, work experience.
Yeah, it does look really good on a resume.
Just more stuff you can slap on there.
Beef it up.
Beef it up. Yum yum.
Why?
You wanna... You want a yummy resume, okay? You want to have it be beefy. You want it to be full of nutrients, full of goodness. Employable snacks.
How tired are you?
So tired. So, what else are pros?
Time management skills.
I mean, yeah, the openings are definitely there. I know after I'm done a shift at work that I totally am able to manage my time by just having a really, really quiet space then to work with.
Mm-hmm. I think, nice. I think it's maybe not time management skills, necessarily in a day, but just, planning around, if the week ahead, I've got to work next Thursday, well, then, you decide, then I've really got to study Wednesday for that Friday test, or you just plan around it.
Yeah, no. I get that too, but also I know our schedules work different. Yours is pretty all over the place, whereas mine is straight up I know every Tuesday. Mm-hmm. That's my day off.
Yeah, mine does change weekly.
Mm-hmm.
Expanding your social circle.
Oh yeah, I've made a bunch of new friends just for being at work.
You do meet people there. I don't hang out with any of them outside of work. But I think it's just because, we are a very, very large store. But when I'm there, we always have a good time. We always chat. But there are, some smaller stores, I think, where, everybody's, roughly the same age or in the same place. So they all kind of, have their own personal group chats and, they hang out outside of work. And that's really nice, too.
Yeah. I don't think we have, No, we do. We're all around the same age at my work. Besides, my boss and our chef. So, We all kind of get along and hang out, which is nice.
Yeah, well, we have, one really good friend who they, all the supervisors there have a group chat, and they'll go out for drinks.
Oh, yeah.
And, they do everything. They got a nice little group there.
Speaking of getting to know new people, you also get to know a new location, which seems kind of whatever, but, for someone an international student, that would be especially true. You get to know a new location, a new general part of town. Maybe not if you work on campus, but...
You might get to, you do meet people. You directly, interact with all sorts of people.
Yeah. You get to graduate with less debt, because we talked about making some extra money.
I already said that.
You did already say that. Damn.
We'll say it again. Graduate with less debt. Big deal there. So what are some cons? Honestly, I could only find about 3 cons. 3-4, sorry, I should say. Nobody really had, a lot of negative things to say about working during university. Although I did find out that apparently some schools don't allow their students to work during the semester. But, BU is not one of them.
Thank goodness.
I don't even think BU has a recommended working amount. I know my younger brother at the U of M, in his program at least, they told him, don't work more than 20 hours a week, which, if you were in his program, how you could even work 20 hours is beyond me. But, yeah, I don't even know that BU has a recommendation on something like that.
No, I don't think so. But, yeah, speaking of, I don't know how someone within your brother's program could work more than 20 hours a week, 20 hours even, because, something that sometimes can hurt you is that time management thing. Because, we talk about that being a pro, but it can also be a con, just based on, you have less time for other things, maybe studying or socializing.
Yeah, you do lose a lot of study time, which could hurt you, your grades. and you do, lack time for socializing and other activities, there is actually a study, and I should have mentioned this in the pros section. There was the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics actually found that students who worked 20 hours a week or less had higher GPAs than their fellow students who didn't work at all. But the opposite was true for students who worked more than 20 hours a week, that they weren't doing as well.
I believe them. Yeah. I only work like 15.
I work 8 to 12.
Yeah. Yeah, and I still feel like I'm I could be doing better.
Yeah, I definitely feel like there's a lot of added stress when you have a job, and because you're like, I've got to show up to work, I've got to do this, make my boss happy, but also money, and but at the same time you're just this is really not a good week to be working, could I just not?
Yeah.
Could I come back later whenever I felt like it? But no.
Another thing that's just kind of most of the time when you're working a minimum wage job through school, you'll find that it's probably not compatible with your field of study.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at doing law, so barista isn't really.
No, it's not quite a barrister, but
No. My summer job, when I do the full-time summer job for about 3 months, that can be compatible with my field of study, but I think it's hard to get that sort of thing in a part-time situation throughout the school year.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't even know that that's really that big of a deal, because it is damn near impossible to be working in that, your field throughout all of university. That's why you've really got to pay attention to those summer job opportunities that do pop up that might be in your fields.
Exactly, yeah.
So what if you do want to work during university, or what if you already work during university? What can you do to make it easier?
Definitely something that makes it easier for me, and I'm very lucky to have, is I have a set schedule with my job. And so I know I work the same hours each week. Mm-hmm. Tuesdays are my day off, and I close on Fridays. That's my norm, pretty much. And it makes it much easier to plan around my classes and then my work schedule with other things like socialization and study time.
And I mean, if you can't find a job that's gonna give you that set schedule, at least try and find a job that lets you work those reduced hours, or is okay with you being I can't work these 3 days during the week, but I can work during these other times. I know for myself, I don't have set hours, but I do have set days where I'm I can't work on Tuesdays, or I can't work on Sundays, sort of thing. But who knows, one week I could be working a Wednesday and a Friday, the next it could be a Saturday and a Monday.
Yeah. Like I said earlier too, you can consider trying to find a job in your field of study so that you can get work experience that is actually going to benefit you. And when I say actually going to benefit you, we talked about the benefits of having a job regardless, but we mean beneficial to your degree and
it's beneficial to the learning process.
Yeah.
You go to school and you study, and then you go to work and you're learning more, but this time on your feet.
Yeah, exactly. Which sometimes again is hard to do when you're looking for something part-time, but like Jolene said, summer jobs, they're coming up. Get your resumes ready.
Another thing, although I think this would be very, very hard to find, is usually something you earn, is to find a job that pays more than minimum wage. If you need to spend time working, make the most money possible, there's some alternatives, you can do tutoring, or maybe run your own little side business if you've got a service that you could provide, but understand that comes with a lot of complications in and of itself. I know for myself, like, I do have my customer service job, but I also have a side part-time photography business. And I don't do too much during the actual term, but in the summers, I do get a lot of business with that.
Yeah, don't you have a wedding booked?
I do have a wedding booked
Yay!
this summer. If anybody else wants to book a wedding.
Also, like, if you can schedule it in pretty easily, that's great. But be sure to find time to schedule in some relaxation, some socialization, just because you can burn yourself out really easily. And it's really, really important to find balance if you're going to work while in school.
I agree. I think it is very, very hard to do that, though.
Yeah.
But you have to remember to prioritize the things that are important to you. And if your friends are important to you, then make sure you do find that time to see them when they're also available, because I imagine they're quite busy themselves.
Yeah, and even if your friends aren't available to hang out and watch a movie or something, make sure you also prioritize your health and make sure you give yourself some time to just like wind down and relax. Nobody says you can't go to a movie on your own.
Have you ever been to a movie on your own?
No, but I do watch them alone in my room. Be sure to set aside money for each month to help cover tuition and other fees.
It's pretty essential if you've got like rent or car insurance, tuition fees, obviously.
Even just gas money.
Gas money, yeah. I mean, grocery money.
Yeah.
Transport money in general, I mean, that's not really a big deal in Brandon, obviously, because we have, the city buses and we have the pass for that on our student ID. But I guess if you lived in, like, a bigger place, you could, be trying to save money for, like, the subway.
Yeah.
So what are some job opportunities? What if you are out there? What if you're looking for a job? Where can you go? What can you do?
There are a lot of student positions available at brandonu.ca/jobs. If you want to look there, and lots of student research assistant positions, mini-U, and more stuff like that through the university.
Yeah, that'll all be on the career section there of Brandon University's website. Further, you can go and find a lot of those university career postings and just other opportunities available outside student services in the Mackenzie building. I think that career fair thing was last week, so I hope you went to that if you were interested in it. But that would be another place. I mean, they happen all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They happen all the time. You just go and find an events page. You can find out when those are happening.
And if you're looking for something maybe more casual or part-time positions that aren't on campus, you can try ebrandon.ca classified section, jobbank.brandon.ca. A lot of city jobs post there, or indeed.com. Also, if you happen to be Métis, I know the MMF also posts job postings as well on their bulletin.
I know that's how I found my job. I was on eBrandon. Just found a job posting on there and just emailed my resume. Next day had an interview. Day after that I started.
Wow, icon.
No, they were desperate.
Oh.
I think, like, working in customer service, it's just such an experience, though. Like, you meet so many, like, weird people. And people, they just seem to get, like, so mad sometimes. It really is great for psychology, which is my major. Because, you do just, like, you really wonder what's going on in people's heads. And if you've got the studying for it, then you actually know.
One time this dude rolled into the Starbucks. And he was like, he looked like, the basic guy who's never been to a Starbucks. And so you could see this mix of confusion and fear on his face as he, like, looked at the menu board. And he, like, came up and he was like, hey, could I have... And meanwhile, he's, like, not looking at me. He's still, like, squinting at the board. And I could tell he's struggling. And he goes, can I have, like, one of those caramel blendy drinks? And I was like, a frappuccino? A caramel frappuccino? And he was like, yeah. And he's like still looking at the menu board, and he just like to himself went, a vagicino.
What?
And he said that. He said that, a vagicino. And I like had to hide my face because I was laughing so hard. Yes. Fully said, caramel vagicino, please.
What? Oh my god.
He wasn't mad, but he was just so out of it seemed.
No, I'm trying to think of like something that's happened at work. I mean, things happen all the time, and a lot of them don't really stick with me. But you just see like some customers who just get so overwhelmingly mad, and they start yelling at you, and then they get your manager involved, and they start yelling at your manager. Like, I really wonder if these people realize that like that's not gonna help them.
Yeah.
You know what? You should be nice to the people. Otherwise, they don't want to help you.
I actually, like, also had a thing where these two old ladies came in, and they, like, were so cute, and they were just, like, going out on a little coffee date together, and, one of them got decaf, and it was, like, cold, and I felt so bad, and I think the basic thing to do if you work in a service industry that serves food is just replace it, right? Mm. And I didn't really think anything of it. But then that lady came back afterwards because she was going to pay for it. It was like, no, I gave you cold coffee. Like, I'll just replace it with a fresh one. And she came back later with her husband and said he makes, like, little rings out of, like, old spoons and forks and stuff and gives them to people that they think deserve them. And they gave me a little ring.
That is so sweet.
It was so sweet. I just felt like we also needed some, like, positive customer service stories because so many of them are just about like Karens.
Karens, yeah, lots of Karens. At my work, we have like a lot of arrest stories.
Oh.
And that is, yeah, those are the ones that really stick with me. Like, those are the best. I think, you know, we've had people like that, like just take off in the parking lot and stuff. Like, you go
with
chasing
what?
After them. I think the last guy, this is a couple weeks ago, the last guy stole a furnace filter, amongst some other stuff, but that was, like, the one thing I remember.
Right.
Was a furnace filter. I mean, people steal all kinds of things, but, like, I think one of the funniest arrest stories that I remember, because I was actually working that night, was we were closing up, and as I'm shutting all the tills down, my one manager comes up with some, like, open candy bags. And she, like, ring these through because we want to know how much this person stole from us.
Right.
And she comes up with these two 12-year-old kids. And so I did. And then I see the police show up. And, like, you know, that's the whole thing. I have to leave, unfortunately. But I found out the next day what happened. These kids came into the store earlier that night, hid a homemade pipe made from a Rockstar vodka can behind some of our products on the shelf, and then snuck in right before we closed and hid behind some products. And then I guess they just didn't realize that, like, when we close, like, we don't all go home within 10 minutes. Like, we're, like, I know myself, I'm there for another half an hour, but then we also have night staff that's there for several hours. This is, like, just 10 minutes after we close, and I mean, I'm still there. These kids were trying to, like, smoke weed in the Canadian Tire. Just, like,
oh,
it was so funny to me to think about. I mean, it's such a tragic story, really.
Tragic.
That, like, oh, we've got, like, these kids, you know, they're underage, right? Like, they can't even go to juvie. They're not even old enough for the Youth Criminal Justice Act. But, yeah, there was just these kids who were trying to get high at my store.
I told you about Meat Baby, right?
Yeah, I was there the one time.
Right.
And the best part about that is I've got this one specific manager who loves to catch the shoplifters. Like, that is the highlight of his working life. And I love to hear his stories about it. He gets so into it. But he was there that night, and I was there, and I saw him, and I was like, oh my god, like, did you see this person come in? And then I had to leave, and then you told me afterwards what happened.
Oh, Meat Baby is an incredible legend among the shoppers and employees of the Sobeys Extra, where I used to work in their Starbucks. And Meat Baby was titled so because the whole ploy was that they would bring a baby carriage into the store and have a blanket over it, as you do when like a baby is napping, right? But the catch was there was actually no baby in the carriage, and they would just fill the entire carriage with stuff, most notably meats and very expensive cold cuts. That was their go-to, apparently. They like always meat for some reason. Sometimes other stuff, but mostly meat. I was like, why? Yeah, but I was like, specifically meat. But I had never really been there to witness a Meat Baby sighting. I always just heard the stories later, but that one night I was actually there closing up the coffee shop, and I saw, like, I had the pleasure to see how Meat Baby, like, prepared before entering the store, and they had, like, were fixing the blanket on the carriage, and I could fully see that there was no baby in the carriage, because I don't know if they realized that the window next to the entrance is directly where the bar is, and it's like not blacked out or anything. I could fully see them, and if they like looked beside them, they could have seen me, but they didn't.
She wasn't being really conspicuous either. Like she had like this like weird hat on.
Oh, she was fully wearing a cowboy hat and a tutu.
Yeah, like she
full
was,
JoJo
really
Siwa
out there. Like, way to draw attention to yourself as you go and start stealing things.
Yeah. And then I went up to my manager and I was like, dude, she just came in here, she's got a baby carriage, but there's no baby in the carriage. And Meat Baby had come by several times already, so we were like on high alert, and this guy like whips his head around at me and he's like, no baby? And I nodded back to him and I was like, no baby. And so he just like kept running around trying to follow her around, and eventually she realized she was caught, and so she took some things out of her carriage, threw them at another customer, and then tried to bust through the barricade in floral, and then she was eventually caught. But because we couldn't touch her because that's against the law, she just kept going. And like the owner of the grocery store looked so tired, and he was like, we're gonna catch you. And he just like followed her. He apparently followed her all the way to the Richmond McDonald's, where she was like,
all the way? That's across the street.
Yeah, well, he had to leave because these like big dudes in a truck showed up to pick her up. And so he was like,
why would he leave? That's such a bad idea.
Well, I don't know, but like she was like taking meats out of the carriage and throwing them into the bushes and trying to throw them at him, and like, yeah, then we called the cops, and that was that day. That was just one Meat Baby story. There are so many Meat Baby stories, but that's the one I lived.
This is why you should work. This is like the number one reason why you should get a job, is because you get to meet 12-year-olds trying to get high and crazy people trying to steal meat in baby carriages.
Older JoJo Siwa stealing like 5-pound sausages.
So yeah, I mean, we could go on and on all day about like stories of things that have happened at our work. But what's happened at your work?
Yeah, share some of your stories with us.
Let's do that. And also, I think our question for the week is going to be, do you have a job, like, in university? Like, do you work during university? So you can find that on our Twitter and our Instagram page. So thank you guys so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have any ideas for future episodes or anything you'd like to talk, or you'd like us to talk about, or help you out with, be sure to contact us by email at weekqueens.bu@gmail.com or on social media at weekqueensbu, and we hope you guys have a great day.
Bye!